Okay. Okay, Jamie, Mohini, you have 5 minutes. Start right now.
Can I share my own presentation? Share
Okay, okay,
screen.
okay, sure.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, sure, you can share.
Is it visible?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So, good day everyone, good afternoon, salamat siyang to everyone, my fellow presenters and to the organizers of this event. I am Jaymee Alcuas from Kalaya Educational Foundation Incorporated in Lucena City, Philippines. And I'm here to present to you our study on the determinants of the survival of micro-sized entities using critical success factors in Lucena City. Moving to the next slide. So, regardless of whether we accept it or not, the realm of business is a Darwinian environment. As cliche as it sounds, it means that only the fittest do survive. So the rest either fall into the elements that they are unable to adapt to, or they just become food for the other survivors. So just like in application to living and breathing beings, survival factors favors certain characteristics and eliminate the rest. And that these characteristics do not remain constant, but must stay current with the changes. Therefore, there is a necessity to evolve. Next slide is so in the interest of time, I will be skipping some slides because we were informed that only 5 minutes for presentation. So we may go back to some slides if other information are required by the reviewers. So I'll move on to the objectives of the study. So it is as follows. The first one is to determine if there is a significant association between the respondents' demographic profile and the survivability of microsized entities based on their financial key performance indicators. The second one is to determine if there is a significant differences between surviving and non-surviving microsized entities in terms of their knowledge of the owners or the decision makers and their financial key performance. So I'll be skipping the literature review. So the method employed in our study is a descriptive comparative design. So it involves 40 owners or managers of businesses from 25 surviving businesses and 15 from non-surviving businesses in Lucena City. And they are selected through convenience sampling. As qualified respondents are owners or persons responsible for the decision making of their microsized entities, and which is within the definition set by the Magna Carta for MSC. Next would be moving on to the results and discussion. As we can see here in the table, this shows that among all the determinants that was explored, surviving and non-surviving businesses differ significantly only in terms of leverage. This means that leverage is the proportion of liability and equity in relation to their total assets. And non-surviving businesses resulted to have significantly higher liability per unit of assets than those surviving businesses. So this implies that the owners and managers of non-surviving businesses have a higher risk tolerance when it comes to acquiring liability, which is then rewarded by opportunities for faster growth and expansion. But in the other side, however, a high percentage of liability can be a red flag for future creditors, as this can be interpreted as the business having the inabilities or the incapability to pay their future loans and trade payables. So the higher the debt to be serviced, the more it becomes restricted from their cash flow. Cash flow. So the more restricted their cash flow becomes, the corresponding interest in turns affects their profitability since interest is categorized as expense, right? And um, for information, banks and familiar and similar financial institutions here in the Philippines commonly set the ratio of zero point 0.5 or 50% as the maximum acceptable percentage of liability. in relation to their assets. This means that for every 1 peso of liability, the business should be able to match it with at least 2 pesos of their asset. So the tolerable maximum percentage of liability goes down further as the amount of payment method or payment period rather
Okay,
of a
excuse
loan
me,
increase.
Miss
Yes,
Jamie, your
yes,
time is
sir.
up.
Oh, I see.
Okay, now it's time for discussion with reviewer.
Hello,
Hello, hello,
good
sir.
afternoon,
Good
Amy.
afternoon.
Jamie or Amy?
Jamie, it's Jamie.
Jamie,
Yes.
okay. I think your research is very interesting. I think.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, you study about SMS in Philippines, right?
Micro enterprise, only micro enterprise
Sorry,
in the Philippines.
micro.
Micro, yes, yes.
So yeah, based on your study, can you give us a little insight about what is your main recommendation based on your study? Because what we saw before, there is no significant differences between the surviving and non-surviving uh, unit business. Is that correct?
If I may correct that the only significance is that there is their difference in leverage, which is their ability to acquire liability. So that's the only difference.
Okay, so the others there is no differences.
Yes, yes.
So so uh, what is uh, the cause of that? I think.
If I may clarify your question, you're asking what is the cause of
Yes,
the liability?
yes, yes.
Um, if I may go back to the results, so just to show the table, the difference is of the surviving and non-surviving is their ability to take liability, meaning that the reason why non-surviving businesses didn't survive is because they went above the threshold that was given by the banks and financial institution, which is 50%. So let's take note the 50% that is the threshold. But as you can see here, that surviving businesses, the surviving business, the non-surviving businesses liability is 64%, meaning they went above the threshold, meaning they take so much liability than they can handle in their equity. Therefore, that is why their business failed to operate and then it led to their demise. Meanwhile, the surviving businesses stayed below the threshold of 50%. That's why until now they are still operating. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, I think that's enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for Miss